in the middle of nowhere. You got to be close to what people want to be around. I hope you guys are photoshopping all those pictures to make me look useful and tan. Another thing too is very important. If you are buying a place that you know needs a lot of work done, and you don't know how to estimate, and believe me, a lot of contractors don't know how to estimate. It's the hardest thing to do. So make sure that you have a quoted, or a written quote of the work as a condition of the purchase. So you may want to secure this property by getting an offer in there, but have it as a condition that you have a contractor come in and do a written quote on the work and that you approve that quote. Because if, say, you know, looking at the numbers, you have a maximum of $50,000 to do the renovation on this property, and a contractor comes in, I usually recommend getting 3 contractors to do a written quote. If the quote comes back and it's going to cost $100 grand, the numbers don't work, you should not be buying that property. But if you don't do that in advance, and then you just have the contractor come in afterwards, you're now stuck with a bad investment. Yeah, it's always important to make sure the investment works for you. And operate on a worst case scenario. When you're buying a place, again, if it's for a rental property, if you can't afford to cover this place sitting vacant for a couple of months, don't get into the property. Because so many people that we know rush into getting tenants. They won't do a background check, they won't do any sort of a check on the people, they just get them in there because they want the money. And then you all of a sudden have a nightmare tenant that you can't get rid of. So be sure that you take your time, get a good tenant in the property, and also look at your numbers ahead of time. Make sure that you can afford that place if it's sitting vacant for a couple of months. And again, with that specific property, know what your goal is before you buy it. Are you going to rent it? Are you going to flip it? This still isn't a very healthy flipping market in the sense that, I mean, the properties that we buy, we can still flip because we know what the numbers are before we get in, and it works for us every single time. But if you're fairly new to it, there's a little bit more margin for error, so you want to be very careful. We usually recommend, if you're buying properties and if you're going to do rentals, the safest bet is to buy a property anticipating that you're going to hold it for about 3 to 5 years, have it as a rental so you've got some cash flow happening in the meantime, something like that. But if you are absolutely desperate that the numbers only work, that if you buy this house, you have 1 month to renovate, 1 month to sell it, and that's it, or I'm going to go under, that is not a good time for you to invest, and it's not a good investment for you. So just make sure that you know the goal of the property and that you have a backup plan. What has always worked for us is renovating a place to make it look its best. So for rental property even, you need to use durable product like a laminate flooring or something that tenants aren't going to wear down. But when you're calculating what you're going to do to a space to make it look like a good investment in rental property, make sure that you're not over-renovating for a space. And we made this mistake way back in the beginning. We had a neighborhood, for example, it was a starter community. Oh, turn off the ears on you. Anyway, we had a property, it was a starter community. We went in there and we just pimped this place out. We totally did the top of the line, we did stone countertops, we did everything we could top of the line, hardwood floors. Well, at the end of the day, we realized that all that extra money we put in, we weren't getting anything more back for it, because in this community, buyers in that area were not willing to pay extra for a stone countertop. They just wanted, it was a starter community, so we should have put a nice laminate countertop, we should have done laminate floors. So be sure you know the community, know what people would expect, know what you're going to be using it for, and renovate to that, improve the space to that. And again, if you're setting yourself up for a career, understand that the renovation side is not the only way to make money in real estate. You can make just as much money on the financial side. One, in ensuring that your credit is the best that it can be so that you get the best rates when you're dealing with a lender, but also on the financing side. So real quick on the numbers. So just some basic numbers for you guys, which maybe you know, but a lot of people just forget about. Oh, first of all, before we get into the details of it, who here has a mortgage? Show of hands. Great. I love it. How many people here are paying monthly? All right. Smack. All right. Stop paying monthly. I'm going to go over a few things just to show you an example. If you have a $400,000 mortgage and you have an interest rate of 4%, if you're paying $2,000 a month, you're going to pay that mortgage off in just over 27 years. The interest alone on that is over $255,000. How are the banks making any money? Yeah, I don't know how banks make money. Now, if you don't pay any more per month, but you just make bi-weekly payments, so you're paying every 2 weeks, you're paying $1,000, you're still going to pay it off in just over 27 years, but now all of a sudden you're saving $40,000 in interest fees, because every time you pay it off, you're taking a little bit of the principal down, right? Say you've got these investment properties that are making a little bit of money, so you've got a little extra coming in. If you can bump up your bi-weekly payment just by a little bit, so now instead of $1,000 payment, you're now paying $1,500, you will pay that mortgage off way faster in 14 years, 9 months, so 13 years sooner, and you will save $140,000 in the interest that you're paying. So if you combine that with a property that you've renovated, you've really improved the value of it, and you're saving money on